I interview a true master of email, phone, and SMS marketing today on episode 8 of Real Estate Photography Unlocked.
I'm just trying to get mine, but these agents got me losing my mind. Whatever happened to the good times? Man, forget about it. It's showtime. Let me show you how to get some rest, how to make millions, how to be your best. This is shout out to the REPs, to the shooters, producers, and the newbies. Welcome to our podcast. I'm your rep MC. We're here every week talking real estate photography.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 8 of Real Estate Photography Unlocked. I'm going to teach you all about SMS, phone, and email marketing today from the very best in the world. And you might think, oh, so you have a big celebrity on the podcast today. No, I like to learn all my skills, and this is, in my opinion, the best way to learn skills from people who do this every day to make their living. And today we have a wholesaler who's been doing SMS, phone, and email marketing for over 7 years and makes his full income doing this. So Hunter, welcome to Real Estate Photography Unlocked, and we're very, very happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem at all. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do? Because I know, first of all, some of you guys were like, why at a real estate photography podcast are we talking to a wholesaler? We should be learning from other photographers. Actually, I find photographers are not very good at this skill set, and wholesalers are fantastic at this skill set. You guys know how to analyze data, because if your data is wrong, you guys will buy homes and lose all of your money when you buy the deal. So you have to make sure the data you have is accurate, or else you will lose your own house because you won't be able to pay, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have to have this correct. And then you guys live or die by reaching out to the coldest of cold leads. So you're going to walk us all through that. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Hunter Turner. I originally am from Tampa, Florida. I'm now based out of Charleston. I started doing real estate wholesaling right out of high school. So I graduated back in 2018. Been doing it ever since. Been doing it on and off as well. Kind of started wholesaling by myself with a couple buddies out of high school. Failed miserably. And then we went to work with a company who does wholesaling and kind of learns a little bit of the ins and outs with them. That kind of fell off a little bit. And so I started making my own company again, doing wholesaling. Got a financial partner, built it from ground one, and that failed miserably. So ended up joining my uncle who does real estate wholesaling in Charleston. Joined him. We've been combining forces ever since, and started learning really more of the ins and outs, how it works from a professional standpoint, and then got into, deeper things like marketing. I wasn't just doing acquisitions anymore, just calling. I was doing acquisitions and learning how to build software to make it better for our company. And so that's where I am now. And I build software along with the wholesaling. I still do wholesaling full time, but on the side, I build software and, offer it to people, service-based, photographers, blue-collar jobs, and primarily real estate.
Okay, cool. And the reason I wanted to have Hunter on is because he actually reached out to me, and I have been talking to him one-on-one, and some of the information he has shared with me is so valuable and so incredible, I wanted to share it with all of you. And you guys know I kind of do this. I've shared some YouTube videos on how to do some of these things. He takes it to the next level, and he does it for a lot less as well. So I will get into that right now. Hunter, how many emails, SMS, phone calls would you say you've done over the last 7 years?
Ooh, over the last 7 years, I tried to track all my numbers. I did track. I have it written down here. I tracked my past 3 months. I'll tell you that. My past 3 months of doing SMS blasting, I sent over 130,000 different messages.
Okay.
In those 130,000 messages, it cost us $455 to send those messages.
Wow. That's very efficient.
Yeah.
Okay. So SMS, how many phone calls would you say, you can just shoot from the hip here? It doesn't have to be, would you say it's like in the hundreds of thousands or?
Yeah, it's right with that text messaging.
Okay.
Do I like doing it? No, I hate it, but it has to be done. There is that return on investment with cold calling, but
Right.
yeah, it's up there. It's up there in those numbers too.
Yeah, and we'll get into how unfun, really, how torturous it can be to do cold calling. I'm not sitting
Right.
here saying that you should do cold calling because it's fun. I'm saying you should do cold calling because it works, and I
Mhm.
also think it makes you a better salesperson and just in general person as well.
Oh yeah.
So you have done your own thing. You've had some failures. Have had some successes. What would you say in general terms before we dive into the specifics are the things that have made the difference between you being successful and actually closing the deals and getting reception over the phone or otherwise versus the mistakes or the ways you were doing things when you were calling people or talking people that contributed to not success.
Yeah, I think when I was really struggling, I was overcomplicating things. I was
Mhm.
trying too many things, listening to all these gurus of do this, do that. This is going to work if you do this, and really, I just experimented. I tried different things. Obviously, I cold called a lot in the beginning because that's what the main people say. All these gurus, it's cold call. It doesn't cost anything, and obviously you're going to learn a lot with cold calling. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to learn objections and really how to negotiate. But um, I started to think, it's not working the best for me. And so I started experimenting by, doing research on what are different ways I can market, not spend thousands of dollars because I didn't have the income to be doing PPC, ads and Facebook ads and stuff like that. So started just experimenting with texting and doing all these things. And, came about that, we found our niche. We found something that worked. And we just now are trying to build on that more and more.
Okay.
And it goes back to not overcomplicating things and just keeping it simple, keeping it short, sending small messages.
I completely agree with not overcomplicating things. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
times you can really get stuck with, perfectionism over progress, and I have learned getting things done over getting things perfect is much
Mm-hmm.
preferred. You had mentioned that you were getting tips from gurus that just weren't working, or what can you remember? Can you give us an example of one piece of advice that you paid for or heard from? You don't have to name anyone specifically, but it maybe just be popular advice that a lot of people do that just doesn't work in the real world on the front lines of marketing.
Free, anything free.
I swear, guys, we did not go over these questions before before the podcast. Okay. So It was so funny. I was commenting back and forth with someone in a Facebook group about why free doesn't work. But anyway, I want to hear what you have to say. So go ahead.
Yeah. Whenever you get into something, and that was the main thing of real estate wholesaling, a lot of the gurus attracted people who are entrepreneurs because they said you can make thousands of dollars without spending a single dollar. That's total BS. And it goes with a lot of industries. You need money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You may not need a lot with wholesaling, compared to other different industries, but you're gonna need to spend the money. A lot of them, for me, with real estate wholesaling, just go to Zillow. Find a property on market, get it for cheaper, and sell it higher. And little do you know, that's the main marketplace. If no one's buying it at that price it's on the market for, good luck trying to sell it for the price it's on the market for. And so I learned a lot with the gurus is they're always saying do free things, just cold call or just go on Zillow or on the MLS and find your deals. And it wasn't working. Cold calling kind of was a waste of time. I only got through like 60 calls one by one in like 2 or 3 hours. And I'm like, there's gotta be something I can do that's better than this. And that's what I learned.
In our industry, we have a lot of gurus that really get people excited about getting started in real estate photography examples, like, hey, just go out there and go out and shoot for free. And the reason is because when you buy their products, whether it be in our industry or others, guys, this is just a technique of gurus. When you buy their product, they want you to feel good about what you bought from them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they need to give you is a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Because you need to feel good about going with them, right? So even if you're not making money and you're not seeing money in the bank, they're going to try to get you out there to do these things because it feels good. So you may go out there and do 10 shoots for realtors for free, and you feel like you're making progress because last week or last month you were sitting at home trying to figure things out. This month you're going out and you're meeting people, you're shaking hands, but you're still not making any money. The truth is, even though it's harder to cold call or to offer a price for your services, the fact is you can get just as many paid shoots, 5 to 10, as it is to get free shoots. And a lot of people will fight me hard on that, but I know my numbers and I know the numbers that they're advertising. Folks, if people have a listing, they're willing to pay. Everyone is getting paid to do the measurements, to do the photos, to do whatever service needs to be done. If a plumber needs to come to that house and make sure it's ready for showings, if a stager needs to come by and make sure it looks good for showings, if something needs to be repaired on the home, every vendor is going to get paid for that service. There's absolutely no reason you should have to do it for free. The only reason you're shooting it for free is because you don't have the sales experience or the sales knowledge to do it. Really, it doesn't even take that much skill. It just takes a little bit of backbone. Just a little bit, not that much. And sorry for going on a rant there, man, but you really
it's right there. It's right there of our industry. I mean, it's one-on-one there. It matches.
All right, cool. So we've seen that you've done this, and you've done this a lot. You've done this a lot more than even I have, and I've done lots of cold calling and emails and so forth. I don't have that much experience with SMS, but we'll get into that. Let's dive into discussing the best practices that you have found, and I may, chime in on some industry-specific things that I have done that have worked. But I really want to hear a lot from you. Which would you like to do first? SMS, email, or phone calling?
Let's start with the worst. We can do phone calling.
All right, so let's do with cold calling. Hey, I'll see you, Zach. What would you say is the best way to cold call someone? Just like your top 3 tips when you're trying to get in contact with someone. In fact, actually, before we dive into this, something that's important to know is who we're going to call, email, and SMS. So how do you gather your data? And this is going to be the key to everything here, to know who to target. Because guys, if you guys are having trouble with your marketing, it may be because you're contacting the wrong people to begin with. So how do you gather your data and get the best set? And if you have any advice for us as real estate photographers, what would be the best way for us to contact agents, specifically agents with listings, as you have taught me? Right.
Yeah. So there's a software called batchleads.io, and it's a real estate software where we get property data. It uses AI, and we have certain things we look to target. But with the property data, it shows us, this is someone who's more ideal to a cash offer. It might be in a area where there's a lot more distressed homes, lower income, maybe there's more motivation in this area to move. And so we target homes like that need an offer to, get on with their lives. A lot of them have foreclosure situations. They inherited homes and stuff like that. And so those are the people we, will call and market to. As far as, photographers, you're obviously going to want to target someone who's also motivated to have photos done. And you can find agents on batchleads.io and in any area that you want to look for. And you can filter it to where it shows how many listings they get. And you want an agent who is constantly getting listings because they're constantly needing photos. And so you can filter it. Let's say Charleston, where I'm at, I can search agents in Charleston, and I can also filter it down with how much activity they're doing a month. If they have more activity, I'm going to target those agents more because they need my photos compared to an agent who's only getting one listing a month. That's just that's not enough. They're not really that motivated either. They're probably maybe not the best agent either. And so they probably just use their cell phone or a friend, but those agents that are higher up, that do more business, that know what they're doing, they're going to need professional photos because those photos do change how a listing is.
Right.
And you'd be surprised because there's a lot of people that take cell phone photos as an agent. They'll even have themselves in the mirror of a bathroom. And you're like, what are we doing here?
We know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we hate to see. And this is a technique that I've been doing for a while, but I really wanted to tweak it and improve it. I had never heard of batch leads. Up to this point, I have been paying a guy on Fiverr to scrape Zillow or otherwise and send me a giant Excel spreadsheet, and I'd put in codes into the Excel spreadsheet. When he showed me batch leads, I was blown away by how easy it was and how much money I could save, from a scraper. And then you took it a step further by showing me how I could do it for free. So batch leads is a great option. I think you had to pay like $60 a month for it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then there's also a free way. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So I know there's some people that may know Google extensions and some may not know Google extensions, but there's a thing called Instant Data Scraper. It's a free Google extension. What I do with that, and this is how I also get agents to reach out to as well, is websites called Realtor.com, Zillow or Redfin. They all have find an agent on their website. I found it best to use Realtor. Realtor lays it out pretty simple, has all their cell phones when you look for agents. But this extension on Google Chrome, Instant Data Scraper, you pop it up while you're on that page, and it will go through and scrape all their names and numbers for you and put it in an Excel sheet. And it's super simple. It is free. It may not be the most accurate data as far as I know. I know Batchley is a little bit better just because they keep it up to date. But Realtor.com for a free solution, it gives you pretty close to the amount of agents it will give you on batch leads. Okay,
now this sounds super awesome. However, I know that one of the biggest questions I get asked in regards to this is, yeah, Jonathan, congratulations, you're teaching everybody how to be a felon. This is illegal. So I know my opinion on this. Can you give us some facts about the legality of this? Because it sounds like, yeah, well, of course that would work, but it's wrong. You're doing something illegal.
Right. No, it's legal. Any information out there, especially even agents, it's all public. They put their phone number out there for services for people to reach out to them for opportunities. The data scraper is just an easier AI way to get them quicker, to get all the phone numbers quicker. It's either you go one by one and write it down yourself, every 2,000 agents, or, you use data scraper, which just automatically puts the numbers in an Excel sheet for you. So that data scraper is not illegal at all. And then, getting their information is just like any information for a company. It's out there. Their phone numbers are out there on purpose to get opportunities and deals. So,
yeah. And that's, I 100% agree with them. I've looked this up independently. It's facts. Guys, this is illegal. You guys may not like getting a phone call yourself, but the facts are real estate agents build their business off of things like cold calling themselves. They do this. And of all the people you can cold call or get in touch with, I have found that real estate agents are a lot more welcoming to a cold call because they get it, right? So if you guys are concerned about this being legal or illegal, it's really, you're 100% okay. And as we get into the other topics, I'll go ahead and jump on emails. If you guys want to go to the Federal Trade Commission and look up the CAN-SPAM Act, it talks about how this stuff is completely legal. It is regulated, but it's completely legal. And when you look into the regulations, it's just common sense stuff. Like if you send out an email cold, even though they didn't ask you to send one, you just have to make sure you are who you say you are. So you can't be a prince from Nigeria, right? You can't be doing that. And they have to have a way to opt out of your email. There are just a few things that are actually 100% required when you sign up for a piece of software that's going to send out email blasts anyway. So it's really impossible not to be compliant unless you just really go out of your way to invent stuff. So this is 100% legal, absolutely okay. And it's one of the reasons why you guys receive phone calls, cold calls, and it's one of the reasons why you guys receive emails. If it wasn't legal, you guys wouldn't be getting it either, right? So everyone else is doing it. If you guys aren't doing it and you guys are feeling a little bit uncomfortable or dirty about this podcast, you guys are falling behind, and that's just the facts, because you guys are refusing to do something that is necessary in order to get business sometimes. And in regards to data, you guys can do this exact same thing by just DMing people on Instagram, but you have to ask yourself, how are you qualifying that lead? Is it just a hashtag? Because there's no information telling you if that real estate agent is even active, or how many listings they've had, or if they even have any listings at all. So this way you qualify real estate agents not only as active and local to your area, but you're just throwing out 80 to 85% of real estate agents who don't have listings, and you're qualifying the very top producers. Because one thing I did in batch leads when you showed it to me was do a search for my local area and my local county for real estate agents with at least 10 listings. So it's just amazing, guys. You have to check it out. So now let's hop into cold calling. You have a list of people you're going to call. In your case, it'd be homeowners, who may have a home that would be better off just handing off to someone, right? Because it's too much of an issue. For us, we're looking for real estate agents. What are good general practices for anyone who's reaching out to someone to use when you're cold calling?
Yeah, I always go with rapport. How can you help them and them help you? And all it also goes back to motivation. The agent doesn't want photos, doesn't want professional photos for their listings. Don't keep trying. Just move on to the next, because you're wasting time on another opportunity that could be good. That's what I've learned with real estate wholesaling. If someone doesn't want an offer on their home, leave it be, say, I appreciate your time, and head to the next lead. And so with real estate agents, offer them something that another photographer doesn't offer, whether that may be a discount for your first time, doing photos for them, or whether it's a package deal. Every 3, listings you want to go with me, I'll give you a discount. Offer them something that is going to benefit them and also benefit you. Because now once you've done photos with them, you're now their guy. Like, they're going to come to you with every listing they get because they trust you. They've seen your work. So reach out to them, build rapport, get to know their needs, get to know how you can help them, and then start offering those, benefits of going with you.
And what do you say about scripts? When you're calling these people, do you have prepared variations of scripts that you use, or do you just wing it every time and hope for the best?
My main thing I talk with everybody is when it comes to negotiation or cold calling, there's no real negotiation when it comes to a lead. It's either someone needs it or someone doesn't. If they do need it, you're not having to say creative and like psychological different words to try to convince them to go with you. It's all about trust. And so when you get on this phone call, don't talk about yourself. Just talk about them. Like, what do they do? How do they do the real estate photos? How successful are they? And then start getting into how you can help them. Tell them a little bit about yourself and, what you can offer, what you can bring to the table. There's no true wild negotiations. I know there's a guy named John Martinez with real estate who starts saying psychological things you can say in a conversation to deter someone to go with you. It's not that complicated. It's at the end of the day, how can they trust you? Because you're calling them over the phone. They've never met you in person. You're just another call. So the only way you can stand out is if you're really understanding of who they are and really enjoyed speaking with them.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. You guys don't want to default by some to sound like a teleprompter or something that sounds robotic. You really want to be as much of a person as you possibly can. Are there any things you say right at the opening of a phone call, like tips you could give? What are some things you should do and you shouldn't do when they answer the phone? Like, hello? And then you say,
hey, this is Hunter. I was looking to reach out to you about some photography services.
okay, so it's really that short.
Mm-hmm.
And that's super straight to the point. You wouldn't recommend going into hey, this is Jonathan Corbett with Triad Real Estate Media. We're looking for some more real estate agents to work with. We have great prices. We do photo, video, and all that thing. Do you find shorter or longer is better?
Shorter.
Okay.
It all comes down to attention span, especially agents. They don't have a big attention span. They're already pissed off of all the people they deal with. They're also always getting calls. So the shorter you can get to your point, the better. Usually when I call it, I'm like, hey, is this John Smith? And they say yes. Then I get into a short introduction, especially with like properties I look to buy. Would you be open to an offer on 123 Main Street? I ask them a yes or no question. If I keep it open-ended, they're not going to know what to say. So I usually offer them, let's say photography wise, I can be like, hey, this is Hunter. I was just, seeing if you needed any services for your real estate photography. I'd be glad to talk about it. If not, maybe you learn something new.
Right. And I have found I've been doing a lot of phone calling for over 10 years with real estate agents specifically, and I've tried all sorts of scripts. And yes, you guys should have a prepared statement that you're ready to give the second you hear them pick up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have found that if you aren't sure about what you're going to say, you're going to sound unconfident on the phone, you're going to make a mistake, and they're instantly going to distrust you and know that this isn't good. And you sound like an amateur. Right. If you say something like, hey, this is Jonathan Corbett with Triad Real Estate Media. I'm looking for more real estate agents to work for.
Mm-hmm.
And you just leave it that, first of all, they don't have time to hang up because it was that quick. And if you just put it out there, they appreciate the honesty. And also stay dead silent after you deliver that first initial statement. And that makes them, just as a reaction to say, I'm sorry, who did you say you were? Or, a photographer. What are your prices? Or, are you local into Greensboro? Yeah. I work in Greensboro. I was just on Wendover Avenue the other day. Construction's awful. I can't wait till they get I-40 done. And they can just verify, okay, this guy's real. And I can't say enough too how much real estate agents appreciate, or someone getting a phone call, that you're actually speaking English without an accent.
Mm-hmm.
So, because a lot of these people will hire virtual assistants, which, when you're doing things in mass, is an effective strategy because you can't call 15,000 contacts yourself. Having a virtual assistant kind of qualify people does help.
Right.
But in our situation, we're usually going to have 300 to 400 active real estate agents who have lots of listings. So the fact that you're reaching out personally, that you're very short and easy to talk to, you guys got a lot of things going for you. So anyway, just some tips there. All right. And the number one thing I would say is keep it short. Try to get them to talk as much as possible. And the final tip I would have, and I think you would agree with this, is have either a text message or an email ready to go so that you can send it to them, either while you're on the phone with them or right when you get off. So that as they're having a positive impression, you then immediately provide them with more information where they can also have a way to book you online. So do you have any experience? In fact, I think one of the best things you've done is build software surrounding this whole idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that was one thing I was going to add with the phone calls. If, someone may have a little bit more marketing, revenue or, more money to put towards marketing, a phone dialer is also huge to make a lot of calls.
Yes.
Instead of one-offing, every call on Google Voice or something, get a phone, dialer system, a power dialer is what other people call it. I mean, you can rapid fire calls all day long. That's always a good investment as well.
Yeah, I agree with that because, and this is one of those things, just like when you're editing a video, it's those little actions that turn a 1-click action to 4 that slows you down and makes your editing go 4 times as slow, right? So rather than pressing 1 button to call somebody, you had to press 7. That's going to take 7 times as long. And that's just facts. And honestly, when I'm on the phone and it's ringing and I'm waiting, for the next call, I'll go ahead and have the next phone number loaded up. So if it goes to voicemail, I leave them a little voicemail. And the second I hang that up, I've already clicked the button and we're dialing again to the next number. Meanwhile, the next person, maybe my competitor who's trying to compete with me cold calling, is sitting there dialing the number. And you're just gonna stop making cold calls because it's such a pain to dial all those numbers. So yeah, huge. I agree with that, man. You're nailing all the things that I think are important, and then some. So what software would you suggest to handle that type of thing? Client relations managers. Are there any good ones out there that make it easy to use without getting too complicated?
Yeah, there's obviously the mainstream companies. One of them that I've had experience with, HubSpot, is pretty good. I know they're very open to a lot of different industries. I think another one, gosh, I forgot what it was called. HubSpot was our main one. I know HubSpot was our main one. We used that for the longest time. Same thing with Podio. Podio was a big one for us.
Yeah, I used HubSpot for a while. MailChimp has a lot of email and SMS stuff. One that I've discovered recently that I really like a lot is Brevo. It's very simple to use and has all the ones that we need for real estate agents, real estate photographers. All right, let's move on then. I think we covered that pretty quickly. The last thing I would say about phone calls, if you want to say anything else about phone calling?
No, I'm good with that.
All right. I will say that while it is hard, and I would say it is the hardest way to get clients, like you have to swallow your ego, guys. You will get a few people who are rude to you. I will say once again, calling real estate agents isn't as hard as calling homeowners. Like you must have generated some thick skin to do what you're doing. It will make you a stronger business person, but also a stronger individual. Just because after you've been told no, for every yes, let's say 20 no's for every single yes you get, that builds character. That's the only way I can say it. So, I mean, just look at this guy. You would imagine that a wholesaler is just this evil, horned guy just trying to, he's a great guy. You're actually super nice. And I would say that one of the reasons you're super nice is because maybe a lot of people don't treat you very nice and you appreciate.
I appreciate conversation. I get a lot of hang-ups and FUs. So.
Right. You appreciate kindness.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on then. What would you like to do next? How about we do SMS and we'll finish with the emails?
Let's do that.
Okay. So what are some tips with SMS? And SMS seems to be like your specialty.
Yeah. SMS is my main thing I do right now. As far as like the inbound ads that we do, any outbound marketing, SMS is our main outbound marketing. Some tips with SMS, I would say, there's a lot more regulations on SMS than there is phone calling and emailing. But same thing with SMS than it is phone calling and emailing. Just keep it short. My generic message I send to everybody is a yes or no question as well. My first message is, hey, this is Hunter. Are you open to an offer on 123 Main Street? And that weeds out a lot of different people. If they're not interested, they'll just tell you no, or they'll say stop. They'll unsubscribe from it. If they say yes, I'm not texting them anymore. That's my foot in the door now. Now I know they're interested. They're a warm lead to me now. And so I'm going to call them up right away.
Okay.
So,
So
I
really, your
try to
text
avoid
messaging.
long and open-ended questions.
So really, your text messaging is just a really simple lead qualifier.
Yep. Yep. And it's, I mean, text messaging, if you think about it, it's super cheap and you can reach thousands of people instantly. And if you just ask them a simple question, you'll weed out a lot of different leads. It's like a cold calling, but all in 1 second. You'll get your yeses and nos. Your nos, just, put it away, delete it. Yeses, those are the ones you're going to work on, and they're interested in your service.
So you could turn 100,000 list of cold leads into 15,000 of qualified leads in a day.
Yeah. So, like, for example, in those 3 months that I sent those 130,000 messages, we ended up closing on 4 properties we bought. In total, like with the text messaging and everything, it was $455 to send those messages. But you also had to do the skip tracing to get those phone numbers from those lists. In total, it cost us $7,000 in those 3 months. But those 4 deals, we made $61,000. So our ROI overall was in the 800%.
Now, for us, we're not going to have, at least unless you're crazy, like unless you're in like Hong Kong or something, we don't have 100,000 agents that we're sending stuff out to. In fact, when you scrape any location for active real estate agents, my area is like an average any town, America, US. We have about 300 to 400 active real estate agents that are significant.
And the good thing about the list and stuff with you guys is the phones are already there. So you're not having to spend the extra money to skip trace those phone numbers like we do. So,
So how it would cost us like what, $10, $15 to send an SMS
so
every
it's
single real estate agent?
Let me pull out the calculator real quick. So it only costs 0.0035 cents to send a message. So let's say you do send a message to 500 agents, it's costing you less than $2.
And every single real estate agent will have heard of you.
They'll have a text, and everybody looks at their phones. If you look at the facts, 98% of people will see a message on their phone.
Yep.
So.
Wow. Okay. So, by the way, guys, just saying, this is the type of information I pay for, and man, it's super quality information. One thing I love about just doing your own research with real professionals on the front lines like this is that they know how to do things economically as well. So you're getting the most updated, latest tricks that really work. And man, it costs a whole lot less than paying some guy $10,000 as well, who may have learned it for free on YouTube anyway. All right. Let's move on then. I mean, that's pretty much it with SMS.
Yeah, it's great. It's just a way to get your foot through the door.
Right.
It weeds out the good and bad. And then, once you get in touch with the good, that's when you start doing your calling.
Okay.
They're interested off your initial text. And so, now it's just closing. And
then it just makes cold calling not that bad either, because you're not cold calling.
Right. And now they know who you are. They know you're reaching out about photography services. And from there, it's all about just learning who they are and how to make a deal.
All right. Now let's talk about emails. We've covered phone. We've covered SMS. Let's talk about emails. Is emails still relevant?
Email is still relevant, especially, this is not to offend anybody, but for the older crowd. There's older agents, more experienced agents who are constantly checking their email. There are going to be some inexperienced agents or agents that particularly just like doing everything over the phone via text or call, and they're not going to check their emails as often. As far as the agents that may have been in the business for a while, they're going to be checking their emails. So email is, I believe, is my second favorite type of marketing. It's just a little bit more complicated when it comes to deliverability and spam rates and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's talk about that. what would you say are some like top tips to make sure emails get through? So we talked about when we're making a phone call, what's the first thing you see? Or what's the first thing you say? With an email, what do you put in a subject line? What should your email look like? What are some big no-nos that you should not do? What are some things that you absolutely should do every time? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the absolute every time is have an attractive subject. That's the main thing they're going to see right off the bat. Especially if you look at the mail app on your phone, you're not going to look at the email itself. You're looking at the subject, and how is that subject attractive enough for you to click on? What is said in that subject where you're like, that's great timing, or I actually like what's going on, for them to then click on it.
Do you have any examples of subject lines guys have found effective? And I'll share some of mine as well.
Yeah, I think really is with our offer, we kind of like to say certain things like as is, or no closing costs or fees, something that's different than listing your home on the market that may attract people more. So in our subject lines, we like to say, would you be open to a as is, no obligation offer? There's nothing against you. Would you be open to an offer and we'll pay all the closing costs and fees?
It's interesting because there's similar elements to what I have used in my email marketing. One of the most effective subject lines that we have that gets lots of open rates is photography pricing for real estate agents in the triad. And it gets a little bit long there. And another tip that I have found to be very effective, throw an emoji in the subject line. So I like to throw a little house and then a camera emoji, just because when you open up your email inbox, you just see a line of subjects and then yours with a little emoji.
Yeah.
So, and it may give it a little bit away that, oh, this is a mass email, but it does make people look.
It's kind of like a little billboard,
right.
You're not going to look at an all black billboard. You're going to look at something that's bright and shiny.
Right. Preferably with someone attractive on it. Right.
Right.
So, just having that little emoji just brings the eye attention to that subject line. And then they read real estate photography or just photography prices for real estate agents.
Yep.
That will regularly get me 30% to 50% open rates, depending on if I've been abusing that subject line too much.
That's a good open rate there.
Right, it is. So those are the tips for good subject lines. When they click on the email, they open it up. What should they see?
An introduction. Let them know who you are. It's kind of like a cold calling, but over, a script. Let them know who you are, where you're from, what your company is. That way you have some credibility. Put your reviews on there. Show people that, you have good testimonials, that you know what you're doing. And then from there, get into what you can offer. And then at the very end, I typically like to put, my link to certain things, maybe a Calendly link. It's just to book me. I also like to put that here and there if it's a longer email. Give them multiple times where they can see it, so they know that you're looking to book a call with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big thing I have found on the call to action is I try, let's say the email takes up a certain amount of space on whatever screen it's going to be on. Usually it's not going to be a desktop. Usually it's going to be like a mobile, right? I found that having a button for a call to action on every screen length gets more clicks. So they open up the email and there's going to be a button somewhere on that screen. As they scroll down the email, if they're interested, as that button disappears on the top of the page, there's another button that appears from below. Yeah. So you just want to make sure there's always a button, because they may not be too interested in the first thing they saw, but then maybe they see some of examples of your photography and then they're like, oh, this guy is good. Let me check out his order form, right?
Mhm.
So you have a button to the order form, and then it takes you that. So that's a big tip, from my side. And just establishing credibility, a great thing to do from the very beginning as a photographer is have like 2 or 3 good images, but you never want to have those images be so that they have to scroll several times and they're still just getting images and images. Just 2 or 3 small. And do you find that a lot of people actually read through the email, or do they just kind of skip over it?
It all depends if they're interested in it. I like to keep it as short as possible. Obviously, it goes back to attention spans. They don't want to read an essay; they rather read a paragraph.
Right.
So I try to keep it short. Try to pack everything into one, so you're not boring them or they're not scrolling too much.
Yes, and you want things I have found and learned over the years is you essentially want them to be able to absorb as much information as possible in just a few seconds of looking at it.
Right.
So I have found, images say 1,000 words, but also some bullet lines say, "Hey, this is what we do. Like we do photo, drone, video, Matterport, media." General media production, So just having those in a bullet list so they can easily absorb the information is super helpful. And then once again, the book now. All right. So those are all the things that we wanted to cover there. Is there any more additional tips you wanted to give in regards to emails?
I think a couple more tips with that is find the right provider for email blasting. Like I said, emails get flagged a little bit more than text messages and obviously cold calls. Try to find a source that's out there that you can mass text and get the best deliverability rate. I've experienced trying to do it myself with my Gmail, just sending hundreds and thousands of emails just with my normal Gmail account. But you're going to get flagged after the first 10 for a mass send off. So try to find, maybe a software or an email that has a good reputation, because there is such things as warming up an email.
Yep.
If you make an email and it's brand new, it's not going to have as good of a reputation as an email that has been there for over 10 years, that has sent thousands and thousands of emails.
And I'm just fresh into all this stuff too. I actually just, for the first time, I'm experimenting with my very first dedicated IP for my email provider. So essentially what that means is nobody else is going to be able to use this IP. So all the emails that are coming from this IP to your mail providers, whether it be Gmail or Microsoft Office or whatever else you use, we'll see that, okay, this IP address has not had too many spam reports. So it looks like this guy's legitimate. And you have to also set up this. But anyway, when you first start sending it, you have to warm it up. And there's very specific, and I've warmed up my own IP and got it working. And just a quick preview, little teaser here. With Real Estate Media Hero, our software that helps you schedule all your real estate photography shoots, we're planning a version 2 where we are going to be implementing our client relations manager. And when I'm doing this research with him and doing this research on best practices for Tribe Real Estate Media, I'm researching to see how I can make our client relations manager that good. So inside our own software, you guys are going to be able to do click to call phone calls. You're going to be able to make mass emails, and you're going to be able to do SMSs if you want to not only your current clients, but your leads. And I'm going to help you qualify all those things as well. So really, thank you for helping me all this research. And you have experience building your own software as well. And this is more dedicated for wholesalers, but it still helps you with your software. Can you kind of qualify leads, or is it just tell us what your software is about?
Yes. So obviously I made it primarily for wholesaling, but I now offer it for a lot of service-based industries, coaches. So I do a lot of different things with it now. The main thing I do offer with it is the text blasting. The text blasting, we have it set to where each text is only 0.0035 cents, like we talked about earlier. Our starting package is $97 a month, and you can get unlimited texting, unlimited contacts with it. There's no like you have to spend this amount in order to use it. Nope, it's pay as you go. So send as little text as you want or as much text as you want. With the software, you can qualify anybody. We have an opportunity section where you have your new leads, if you talk to them, if you close them, or if you want to add them to a follow-up. Within those automations or the opportunities, we do have automations with those. So we can customize a long-term follow-up for you, a short-term follow-up for you. We do holiday follow-ups where it'll send them an email, an SMS every holiday offering them a deal. And so that's the main thing we sell is the text blasting and those text and email follow-ups. Okay. But there's a lot we can do with the software. We do have the dedicated IP that you spoke about, where we can get you an email dedicated to send mass emails. We do have a phone dialer system on there as well. It's a triple line dialer. So it calls 3 numbers at once, and it will connect with the one that answers first. And then it goes back to another 3 numbers.
Oh, wow. You guys are next level.
Yeah. We try to pack it literally all in one. You can also do your invoices and payments through there as well. You can connect Stripe and QuickBooks. Right. So you can send the payments right to them via email or text. We also have websites that we have custom built for people who don't have any.
Okay, so you're next. Dude, you got it all covered.
Yeah, all so right, we have templates in there for if anybody wants a website, we can switch it up for them. And
what's the name of your software so people can actually check it out?
It's called Go2 CRM. So GO, the number 2 CRM.
Okay, so it's a full client relations manager. All right.
Yep.
CRM.com or
.io.
Okay, so it's go2crm.io. All right, cool. Well, man, thank you very much, not only for hopping on the podcast today, but also meeting with me privately to help me just streamline my whole process. I have had great results from stuff I've done in the past. Going forward, man, we're going to be even better. Oh, yeah. And just so you guys know, I do all this stuff in Triad Real Estate Media. Even though I'm running software and teaching people online, I'm still on the front lines, making phone calls, sending out texts, sending out emails. And then when I find out what works, I relay it to you guys. So it's not like I am learning generic advice from Tony Robbins or Alex Hormozy or something else. Nothing necessarily wrong with those guys, but there's much better information to be had from going out into the frontier of business and digging for gold. And when you find that gold nugget, you're the first one to bring it to town and share it with people. So that's what I do. Thank you, Hunter, for doing all this. And man, I really appreciate what you're going to do for me, not only with Triad Real Estate Media, but just with the counseling in general. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And if you guys want to check out Real Estate Media Hero, our current scheduler as it is, make sure you do that right now. And look at our YouTube channel. I'm going to be releasing a big video on all the updates we've done over the last month for Real Estate Media Hero. And we have done lots. And we're closing in, man, on this industry. So lots of excitement. RealEstateMediaHero.com. Go to crm.io. And thank you, Hunter.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Take care.